down. I'm broadcasting.
Kia ora, naumai, haremai everyone. Thanks for joining us for this virtual open day. I'm Tassiano Milfon. I'm from the School of Psychology, and today I'll be talking about a little bit about psychology. So I will be talking about why psychology and why Waikato, why you might choose to do psychology with us. And I'll cover a little bit about the structure of the psychology degree here at the Waikato, the first year, second and third years, and the link between research and teaching, and a little bit about our school and who is part of our School of Psychology. And then, because you might be also interested, I'll be talking about careers in psychology. You know, what can you do afterwards? And I'll be mentioning a few examples throughout my presentation about careers and how you can apply psychological knowledge to many domains of life and many business. So why psychology? Well, as you can guess and imagine, it's a really challenging, stimulating, and rewarding field of study. Is an area of knowledge that can be applied to many domains because we study human behavior and humans. So it's quite important. We are dealing with a pandemic, for example. A lot of people are studying psychological distress, how people is coping to the pandemic, interpersonal relations, family relations, and so on. So you can see that psychology can be applied to many areas and is a really important topic. There are also many careers options if you decide to study psychology. So there is one area that involves a lot of professional training, and I'm going to highlight few of these areas here in New Zealand. So you need to do a psychology degree in order to become a registered psychologist. But psychological knowledge can be applied to many domains, and I'm going to give some examples later on. But it involves from organizational settings to government settings, higher education, science, and so on. So broadly, it's a really highly valued degree because you acquire lots of knowledge and knowledge that can be implemented in different settings. And I'm going to mention some of these skills in few of these slides today. So why Waikato? We offer really high level education. We have really committed and approachable staff. Some of our teaching involves really small groups. So you can have this opportunity of really in-depth interaction with your peers and as well as with the lecturers and the professors. The university overall provides a lot of support for students. And this can be the educational aspect of it. For example, how to write in the scientific or university level, but also counseling and other support systems that could help you during the university years. We also offer a really versatile degree for psychology at Waikato. Indeed, you can do three main areas or three main degrees. You can do a Bachelor's of Arts, you can do a Bachelor's of Social Science, and also a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, with majoring in psychology. So the School of Psychology indeed offers one of the many options. It's one unique degree within Waikato because of this versatile degree structure. So the diploma or the degree of psychology involves 3 years. So the first year you take basic introduction to psychology papers. And then the second year and third year, you specialize a little bit more in an area of psychology that you'll be more interested. And then in the third year, there are many courses that you can choose from. And again, you can specialize in an area that you're more interested. And these are courses within psychology, but of course there are related courses across and social sciences, science, and arts that you can take to complete your degree in psychology. So it's a really complete foundation within psychology. In the first year, you're going to be exposed to many areas of psychology. And during the first and second year, you can decide which area you want to focus more. You can focus on studying mainly behavior, mainly cognition, or developmental aspects of psychology, or community, social psychology, or applied aspects of psychology. So again, there are many options, and it's quite a flexible degree. So what are the skills that you can learn? So psychology graduates are valued for the combination of content information, so psychology-based knowledge, but also transferable skills. And I'm going to list some of them here. I'm not going to go into the detail, but you can read on these slides. So you're going to learn some literacy on the higher level, in tertiary education, university level, also numeracy, statistics, and how to understand science, and it relates to scientific thinking. The next point that I have there. All these other skills include interpersonal awareness, self-knowledge, and understanding how to interact with others in group settings. You're going to learn a lot of problem-solving skills, and many of our graduates use those skills quite heavily in the career, and something that we emphasize quite a lot in our courses. Other three skills that you would learn if you decide to take psychology with us is critical evaluation, analyzing scientific publications or any text for its content and facts. Information gathering skills, so how to search for reliable and factual information, and the ability to work independently. And another is a really important skill that we foster in our students. So a little bit about the School of Psychology. We have 26 academics and research staff. So these are the folks responsible for teaching and conducting research and helping students and staff in conducting the work. We also have technical and administrative support staff. And currently we have over postgraduate students, so students who are doing a master's or PhD in psychology with us. Last year we had over 120 students graduating with us. And if you look at the report that the government produces, looking at the quality of the teaching and research within New Zealand universities, the team here at the School of Psychology at Waikato scores really high in those markers of research achievement. So how do we teach? Often our methods include lectures, large-scale lectures. Of course, because of the pandemic, this has been mainly online and through recordings like this one. But we also run small labs, as I mentioned, with small groups, so you can have greater interaction with your peers and with the professors. But we also run specific workshops in particular topics. So we cover a large way of teaching and delivering psychological content. But overall, our teaching is organized in these 6 main areas within psychology. We cover developmental, cognitive psychology, indigenous and social psychology. And we also discuss historical and conceptual issues within psychology. And one aspect that's really important for our degree is research methods and statistics. So it's something that I know some students are a bit scared of statistics, but the way we teach is we focus on applied application of statistics and research methods, so that the content is much more, it's easier to gather, and is more interesting to learn as well. But again, it's a really important aspect of our degree. It's research methods and statistics. So why do we link teaching and research? we believe that our teaching is much better and well-informed if we combine that with teaching, our teaching with research. And most of our staff, or all of our staff are involved in current research. So we carry out research, and I'm going to illustrate some of the areas we cover, and we bring those real life from our own research experience and learnings to our classrooms. So it's up to date and quite engaging the way we teach at Waikato. It's important to note that not all schools in New Zealand, schools of psychology in New Zealand, have this strong link between teaching and research. So we are quite unique in that front. So as I mentioned, we do a lot of research. So some of us study how we see movement, so visual perception. Others study mindfulness and meditation and how it affects our health and well-being. Others study how to help children learn and behave better at schools. Others study the effects of head injuries. A colleague is training dogs to sniff drugs, disease, and explosives. Others are working on how to reduce family violence. Others are studying organizational psychology, so how to improve employee and work-life balances, and HR, and so on. Myself, I study environmental psychology, how psychology can help to address climate change, and others study how people behave when they take alcohol and how it affects their driving. And of course, we do that in a simulation. So what are the careers in psychology? As I said, there are some areas that you can study further and do some training to be a recognized and accredited psychologist in New Zealand. And these include clinical psychology, community, occupational, forensic, behavioral analysis, and health. So these are areas that you can study further and be a registered and qualified psychologist. And in that case, you can be called a community psychologist, a clinical psychologist, and so on. But as I mentioned before, the degree of psychology is quite broad and can be applied to many, many areas. I'm just illustrating a few areas here. So you might decide to work in business and industry, and you can decide to invest your career and psychological knowledge in marketing. You can do assessment of clients or people applying for jobs, so psychometrics. You can work in HR, in recruitment, selection, and training of personnel. You can decide to work as a manager, so you can apply knowledge on leadership, decision-making, to managing retail and managing staff. You might decide to work for government or NGO organizations. I have, for example, many former students who became data analysts or policy analysts, helping the government to make decisions. You might decide to become an academic or a scientist, so you can focus on research and teaching. Some of you might already know that psychology has been offered in New Zealand at the high school level, so you might decide to go back and teach at high school. So become a teacher of psychology at high school, but you can progress further and do a master's, a PhD, and become an academic or work as a scientist within psychology. And there are many other areas. You can work as a speech therapist, civil servant, as I mentioned, and even in ITS or information technology. So that's me. If you want to get more information about psychology and our School of Psychology, Oleg is kindly taking the time to answer your questions on the chat, but you can also check out our website and also contact Donna directly. So that's me. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you here at Waikato.